Welcome to Stand Up for Doctors. I'm your host, Kim Downey. Thank you very much for joining us. This channel is dedicated to amplifying the voices of doctors, other healthcare professionals, and patients as they share their unique struggles, triumphs, and passions. My mission is to build connection and create advocacy for healthy doctors, driving positive change that benefits both doctors and patients. This is a space for everyone who cares about the future of healthcare. If you appreciate this content, please like and subscribe now. It really helps the episodes reach our target audience. And I would like to share that we're hosting an amazing physician retreat October 9th to 12th, 2026 at Windrose on Hudson in Ossining, New York. It will be a weekend to connect, empower, recharge, and celebrate. CMEs will be available. Please reach out for more information if you're a doctor interested in attending, or if anyone would like to sponsor our retreat, we can create sponsorship to fit your budget, and the registration link will be in the show notes. And today I would like to welcome Kimberly Maurer and Sue Robbins. Thanks for joining us today, Kim and Sue.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
hi. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm very happy to have you. And I'm excited for our conversation. And by way of a brief introduction, Kim Maurer is a nurse and founder of Unapologetically You Collective, where she mentors and coaches nurses, leaders, and changemakers. And Sue Robbins is a senior partner in Bird Comm, a creative health communications company, where she consults leaders about best practice and patient engagement, which includes nurturing safe spaces for patients and staff. And today we'll be talking about how Sue is in Canada and speaks to patient engagement, and Kimberly is a nurse in Florida working on healthcare transformation. And we'll ask you to share your perspectives as to how your work directly and indirectly supports doctors, as we know that everyone wins when physicians are well, and physician advocacy is patient advocacy. So, Sue, would you like to share a little about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. I live on the west coast of Canada in Vancouver, and I am both a caregiver. My youngest son, Aaron, is 22 years old and he has Down syndrome. So he's grown up in the disability community and he had many touches with children's health care when he was younger. And then I myself became a patient 8 years ago when I had breast cancer and went through breast cancer treatment. Um, and I would say my perspective very much is that I care about the people that care for me. So I talk a lot about compassion in healthcare, humanity in healthcare. Some fun facts about me is I think one of my favorite things to do is walk our dog. It's pouring rain here today, but we got a pandemic puppy in 2020, and she ended up being very needy, unfortunately, because we were home all the time with her. But one of my favorite things to do is she gets me out for a walk, which I think is really important, especially this work in healthcare can be quite heavy. So I find going outside, I'm not really a big exerciser, but I know being active and being in nature has been really important for me. So that's a bit about me.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And Kim, what would you like us to know about you?
So I'm presently in Michigan. I'm from Michigan originally. So it's snow and cold here, which I haven't
Mm.
experienced in a few years. But I have started my own business of Unapologetically You Collective. So I'm helping nurses find their voice, leadership find their voice, and trying to get a common ground to where we can help fix the broken system because it's so broken. And, everybody has their ideas of resolution, but there's so much noise. I feel my job is to try and bring all that noise together to where we're all on the same page. Everybody has the same ideas in mind, and there's no seat at the table that doesn't fit everybody. Everybody has a seat at the table. And I feel that there's so much that we can do, all of us, doctors, everyone in healthcare, nurses, I mean, everybody, all the way to the man in the boiler room, for God's sakes. He has a role in it. I mean, the place doesn't run without the boiler man. So
Mhm.
I just am trying so hard to find everybody and give everyone a voice that feels like they have to hide in the shadows and they can't talk about things because silence is what's breaking us. Silence and just pretending that nothing's happening is what's breaking us. So collectively and unapologetically,
Mhm.
trying to get everyone to just speak up, just tell your stories, talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the problems that we're having. How can we fix them? If people have ideas, bring them to the table, talk about them. Let's keep talking and keep talking. And, I was a patient when I was working and acquired COVID. So I had a really, really bad experience with healthcare then. And I actually was ashamed to call myself a nurse at that time because I feel like, and I don't blame so much everyone. I blamed what we were put into. We had no idea what we were dealing with. It was so scary. And everyone's trying to figure out what it is. Everybody's trying to keep themselves safe, trying to keep their families safe. But again, watching everyone around us die. And it was really hard at that time. And, I ended up with a brain tumor and brain surgery. And, I'm still dealing with the effects of long COVID. But it is those few doctors that actually sat and listened to me and didn't just poo-poo me because, oh, you're a woman, it's in your head. No, it's not. So I am so grateful to those who truly took the time to listen to me and treat me as a person, a human being. And being a nurse, set that on the back burner. I was a patient first at that time. So
Mhm.
I love these communities. I love what LinkedIn has brought. I love that I've met all of you and I've made so many good connections and acquired so many good friends out of this. So I appreciate you, Kim, so much. And I know that we talked how many months ago.
Yeah.
I can't even remember where I was coming from. I think I was driving home from Tampa and
Yeah.
we had the conversation about doing this. So thank you for having me. I'm very much appreciated.
You're welcome. Well, what we could all say is sometimes beautiful things rise from the ashes of the saddest of things. And
Yeah.
we all have found a passion somewhat through our own personal experiences. And I experienced cancer 3 times during the pandemic. So I've seen over 40 doctors, had 5 surgeries, 3 courses of radiation. So I've also had the gamut of experiences. And you're both very good writers. You write powerfully about these topics. Sue, would you like to share a story with us?
Sure. Yeah, I have a couple of books. My first book, Bird's Eye View, is about the patient and caregiver experience, and then the second one is more about engagement. So, including the patient voice at the organizational level, because I worked for 2 children's hospitals and family engagement. But I was thinking about what story I wanted to share from my more personal book, and I have a story that was actually published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, so our Canadian national journal for physicians a few years ago, and it was about my son's pediatrician. So, my son Aaron was born with Down syndrome, and after he got diagnosed, we got referred to a pediatrician to start seeing him. And often, when I talk to health professional audiences, I read this chapter. It's called About Dr. Darwish. Her name was Dr. Darwish. And some of the things I describe are similar to what Kim was talking about when she was a patient. And my first image of Dr. Darwish when she first came through the door, when my husband and I first met her, is Aaron was in his little car seat because he was only 2 weeks old. And the very first thing she did, she came in the room and she leaned over and she scooped him out of his car seat and she held him and she said, "You have a beautiful baby boy," she said. And, I even get shivers just thinking about that right now. Aaron had been to a number of specialists, like kids with Down syndrome get a lot of screening. We're often born with heart troubles. And really, she was the first healthcare professional that saw him as a boy first, a baby first, a beautiful baby first. And he was beautiful. He was all floppy and little, and he had punk rock hair that stuck up all over the place. And really, she very much endeared us to her. The other thing that she had done in her office, which is interesting, it's not just about behavior, but it's about the physical space too. She had pictures of all her patients were all over her office. So she had these beautiful pictures. She worked a lot with the disabled community. So there are kids in wheelchairs, kids with facial differences, kids with Down syndrome, and how wonderful that was for my husband and I to see that when we first came in. So just these little touches, like Kim said, make such a big difference, I think, to us. So I love to tell that story about Dr. Darwish. And then I'll tell one about when I had breast cancer, which I didn't have the greatest patient experience in oncology, if I'm absolutely honest. And I certainly talk about that in my book. But I remember when there's a big lead up to a cancer diagnosis. You go for mammograms, you go for another mammogram, you go for an ultrasound for breast cancer. And then you have to wait for your biopsy, and then you go for your biopsy. And then once they get the biopsy results, then you get a diagnosis that you have cancer or not. So I remember my family doctor, her office called us and said that the results had come in and did we want to make an appointment? And it had just snowed here in Vancouver. And it's similar to Seattle. Like when it snows, like people don't know how to handle it here. It's like terrible. Like the roads aren't ready for it. The traffic is terrible. So they gave me the choice and I said, no, she can phone me. It's great to get diagnosis in person, but I wanted to hear the news on the phone. So she phoned me. And I remember after she told me, I had an inkling what she was going to say, that I had breast cancer. And I could hear that she was choked up. Like I could hear her be emotional on the phone. And I can say how much, I appreciated that. And I asked her about it. And she said, this is the worst part of my job, she said, is having to tell people that they've got cancer or other serious illnesses. And how much I appreciated her showing that humanity and get that giving of herself to me, as opposed to, just treating me like I was a checklist that she had to, finish the phone call and move on. And so those are a couple of my stories about physicians specifically in healthcare who have really, we always know the doctors are competent. I mean, they've gone through medical school, they've gone to school for a very long time. And I think it's this belovedness that really stands out. So the good old bedside manner means a lot to me.
I love those stories. They fill my heart. As a pediatric physical therapist and as a cancer patient myself, right, I could almost get teary hearing that. And I'm excited to share that, our first collaborative book is White Coats, Courageous Hearts. Our second collaborative book is White Coats, Human Hearts. And you were just speaking to the humanity of physicians. And we've just
Right.
sent the final drafts to the authors this
Yay,
week. And
that's
by the
great.
time this episode is published, it's going to be right around launch day. So we're going to be sharing more powerful stories. And this
Mm,
book is written by 11 physicians, two spouses of physicians, and two patients. So we're
mm.
getting more perspectives in there, and they're just going to be beautiful stories as you're both sharing today. Kim, was there a powerful story from your own experience that you would like to share?
I would have to say, God, there's been so many. I mean, I've had so many things. I'm with the COVID because of the Bell's palsy. Um, my right side is affected from having the surgery, and I've lost my hearing on the right side except for obnoxious tinnitus, which ugh, I wish they could just drill a hole in my head and make it go away. But it was, advocating for myself, and finally getting someone 6 months after, the weight gain and the falling down. I kept falling down, and just nobody was listening to me. At one point, I went into the ED thinking I had a stroke. I had numbness and tingling in my face. And here as a nurse, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm having a stroke.
Right.
But it was finally that someone listened to me and did an assessment and ordered an MRI, because I'm like, you know what? This isn't coming out of your pocket. Just please, just order an MRI. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm 120 pounds. You don't gain 30 pounds in a month. It's not normal. You don't fall down. It's not normal. You don't have blood pressure that's through the roof. It's not normal. So it's like I just had to keep pounding the pavement and just keep saying, please, somebody just listen to me. So, with him finally listening to me and getting the MRI done, it was then the phone call, you have a brain tumor. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, well, at least now I know why I'm falling down and why I'm doing everything that I'm doing. Now at least there's a reason. And that's all I wanted. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I wanted, was to know what was wrong with me and have somebody listen to me and not just tell me over and over, oh, you're just multifactorial. I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you
Mm-hmm.
how many people did that. So, it was through that, and then finding, the good care that I found at University of Michigan Hospital where I had the brain surgery, and then coming to Florida later in 21 and starting work here, and then the COVID vaccine was mandated. So after I got the vaccine, I took a huge nosedive. It just did wreaked absolute havoc to me. So I ended up having 5 eye surgeries, where they put a gold weight in your eyelid so your eyelid can, close, because it doesn't close, doesn't water. I have to wear a scleral lens. So it's just been one thing after another.
Mm.
But it's been those times of having the doctor that listens to you and building that relationship. So when you come in and they say, oh my God, you look so good. Look at that eye. You know what I mean? It's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, you did this. So it's those things like that that I'm so appreciative for for the care that I finally got. And it's just it's those times that, and too, in all my stories and my posts on LinkedIn, and I'm not sure if you how much you guys follow me, but it's all of us. It's every single one of us. We are a village, we are a tribe. No badge weighs more than another. And it's having that mutual respect and just treating everybody like a human being. I think so much of that has gotten lost in everything that's happened, I believe, since COVID. And, this is my personal experience and my thought on that. But I think that so much changed after COVID happened. And we lost so many good people. We lost so many good doctors and so many good nurses and, family members. So it definitely was a huge setback, I think, absolutely for the whole world. But and I had an experience recently where they found something in my breast and I had to go through the whole biopsy thing. And I had such amazing, amazing care in that regard because I was terrified, and like you both
Right.
were, I'm sure, and terrified of what they were going to find and what they found. And, they were able to biopsy it and get all of it and put, the little marker in there that they do, which still feels weird. I don't know if you guys feel yours is still weird, but again, it was that compassionate, loving, human touch and just kindness that changes, I mean, the trajectory of your whole life. It really does.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I'm grateful to those experiences and the care that I've received. And I'm just fighting tooth and nail every day to continue recovering and to come back meaner and fiercer than ever and just being positive about as much as I can. Obviously, I'd be lying if I say every day is a good day, but most generally it's a good day. So, yeah. So
Yeah.
there, I
Well,
could talk forever, so I'll hush up.
well, thank you for sharing all that. So, my word of the year for 2025 was impact. So, I added two books, a lot of Kevin MD articles, my Substack newsletter, like a lot of things going on. My word of the year for 2026 is going to be together because some people have
Yeah.
said I'm starting a global movement, but one person is not a movement. One person can start a movement, but we all need to do it together. And that's why I was so excited to have the two of you on because I mostly interview physicians. Sometimes it's nice to spotlight other people doing work that directly or indirectly supports physicians because it takes a village. So, a few things I've been just getting clear on over the last day or so is if I say, who do I serve? I would say doctors, and by way of that, patients and doctors' families. And we're all patients. And what problem do I solve? Disconnection in medicine and healthcare. And disconnection can be doctor patient disconnection, leadership with systems and staff disconnection, right? Disconnection from yourself, disconnection from your purpose. And then what result do I create? Care transformation, one story and one connection at a time. Like this conversation, you two hadn't met each other before, and we never know where these things are going to lead. Beautiful things have led when I've had two people on together. And what does love in healthcare mean to me? Listening and being heard, reciprocal kindness and caring, including for yourself, and mutual respect. So I was wondering, Sue, what would you have to say to all of that?
Oh my goodness, that sounds like a great business plan. Actually, you've got it
Right?
all
And
laid
that's
out
my
there,
thinking.
Kim.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like those questions. I would have to say it's so funny. Because I'm a writer and I'm a bit of an introvert, to be truthful. I do a lot of work on my own. And earlier this year, somebody called me a lone wolf, and I was actually kind of offended by it. It kind of like I was like,
Mm,
oh, and I realized the reason I was offended by it because there was an element of truth in it. Of course, once I took some time to reflect on it, is that I do a lot of work alone, or I come in and do a workshop, or I come in and do a talk, and then I leave. And I vowed, very similar to you, Kim, that I always say we're better together. That's what patient engagement is about including patients on the team. And so I thought I need to join some groups. That's what I need to do. And the whole idea about change, you're right. Like we need to create a move. Exactly what you said about the movement is that I
Yeah.
can't do this work alone. I think I've like exhausted all the paths that I've got two books, like I do talks, I do workshops. and I still run into brick walls. And I agree, Kim, that we have regressed since COVID. I've seen a lot of dropping of patient partnership work, which is a real shame. There's been a very, even in Canada, I know we're so different the way that we're funded. We only have the one payer, well, for hospital care and physician care. But you know what? The problems are the same all over the world. I've got friends in Australia, and I know you do too, Kim, and they talk about the same sorts of things. And really, it's about the lack of humanity in healthcare. And now, though I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole with the rise of AI and
Mm-hmm.
technology, and people, they're putting billions of dollars into that. And I worry that we're missing the human part of healthcare, and that needs to be equitably funded too. So I think the whole idea of humanity in healthcare is very, very timely right now, because yeah, there's certain things that only human beings can do. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping there'll be a bit of a, I've been trying to go less digital and more analog for the, reading more books and getting together in person and having coffees. And so I think you're right, Kim, like these types of conversations are actually how change happens. But I kind of given up on system change. I think of change as one person at a time. So it's like one person, then another, and then another, and then remember that old commercial,
Mm-hmm.
she told two friends and she told two friends. It's kind of like
Yeah.
that. And so we do it, we can get to system change, but it is through individuals. So remembering the human part, I agree, is like really, really important.
I love
That's
all
what,
of that, and I'll let Kim add whatever she wants to.
yeah, I stand behind that 100%, and I just wrote and published my first book in August, The Healthcare Mafia. And it stands on all of that and what happened during COVID and the loss of humanity. And I feel that we are a village. And I say that I end most all my posts that way, or I hashtag we are a village and together we rise, because it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us talking, all of us coming together, because we need to be the change that we want to see. We have to change ourselves. We can always do better. Every single one of us can do better. We can. So if we do that as a collective, and everybody brings their voice together, their ideas, their solutions, their resolutions, I mean, there's so much impact that we as a humankind can have to make this better for everyone involved, ourselves, physicians, nurses, healthcare providers of any and every kind, and mostly patients. For patients to have, the best experience, to feel that they got the best care while they were with us. And I would never want anyone to leave the hospital or, feel at some point that they weren't listened to, or that they didn't have good care. I mean, that's such a kick in the gut there. So I just feel like keep talking, everybody keep talking, and just do you. Just you are only one person, right? But it's collectively. But you as one person can be the change you want to see. Be a good person every day. Be kind every day. Listen to people, have those tough conversations. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And I get that. And I'm comfortable with that, but at the same time, I just want the world to be a better place. I want to leave a legacy for my children and my grandchildren that they think, wow, mom made a difference. Grandma was the shanizzle. Grandma did good stuff. I'm proud to have her, my grandma. And so I, like I said, I just feel like it's a village. It's a tribe. It's all of us. All of us or none of us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
can
fine.
I just add? I always think like it's about the healthcare culture, and the culture, whatever happens to doctors affects patients and nurses, and we're all actually very intertwined. And I love so much the work that you're doing, Kim, working with physicians, because I think it's been often an echo chamber. It's doctors talking to other doctors and to
Mm.
bring new voices into the conversation, because physicians feel more distressed. Nurses do. Like there's so many allied health professionals that feel that way. And of course, it all drips down. There's a drip down effect that the patients in the end also feel, if there's bad morale, there's bad culture,
Oh,
we feel
yeah.
the effects of that. And I like to say that it's not just about patient safety and quality improvement, because we know that bad morale does affect that in a negative way. But I care about the people who care for me. And
Yes.
I want them to have good workplaces, not just so, I've got good patient safety when I'm there. It's more than that. It's about, being human together, I think. And that's the piece I worry with technology that we're kind of moving away from that. And so I think the more voices, the better. And patients, like there's lots of us. Like if we could
Hmm.
band together, it could be a very powerful thing.
So that's what I was gonna say is I was talking to one doctor who feels like we need to have a really big movement of doctor and voices patients together. And that was another reason that I was excited to have you both on, that this can be, a start of that conversation. And I'm planning on in 2026, by the time this airs, is I would like to even maybe have a Zoom. And it could be a general question like, what could standing up for doctors look like? And people can come on and share all of their idea from your individual perspectives, and then we could have a follow-up Zoom where then people can go in breakout rooms and whatever their own idea is to be able to talk about that, and then they can just go do it. And that happened last year. I was part of a open space event that was how could we restore and nurture the human connection so needed in healthcare today. And one doctor raised his hand and he said, we have so much empathy for patients and we're expected to. How can we foster empathy and patience for us? And out of that came a catalyst group. And then we tried to make a really big impact for Doctors Day. And now there's a few of us continuing that conversation. We're hoping to get together in March at the Dr. Lorna Breen event, National Healthcare Worker Wellbeing Day. We'll hopefully make another impact for Doctors Day on March 30th, and then also compiling resources of what everyone is already doing to bring it all together. So I'm very excited for that, and you're both welcome to participate. And as we start to wind down, Sue, what thoughts do you have, like in your own role? How do you feel that we can all come together and move the needle forward?
Um, I always go back to storytelling. I know storytelling seen as soft. So someone told me recently I should call it narratives because that sounds like more official, but whatever. Basically, it's stories. That's why we read books and we go to movies and we watch streaming on TV, right? It's because of the stories. And I think if we're talking about nurturing connection, it will be the sharing of each other's stories. I think patients often share their stories a lot, and but we don't necessarily understand the physician point of view. And I know once I was part of a council, a family council at a children's hospital, and we had half staff and half patients. And the very first meeting, we all went around the table and all shared our own personal stories about what brought us to healthcare. And I can tell you that that was so very powerful. And I also had someone very wise say to me, even if you don't understand somebody's perspective or point of view or their way of living, at least you can respect it. So I think the only way we can really get to understanding, first through respect, is if we understand the physician, the nurse, the allied health professional perspective so that we're not just this. I still feel like it's us against them. Even the military terms we use for it, like frontline staff. I don't know. What are you frontline about? Are we the enemy? Like it feels like we've been put in these buckets. And Kim, you're one of the people that are bringing us together. And I think that that's actually a rare thing, but there's a lot of power in that too. So I always go back to stories, and I do storytelling workshops, and having safe spaces for people to share their stories is very important too. I don't think doctors do nearly enough reflective practice that they're able to unpack some of the difficult things that happen to them.
I
I totally
fully
agree.
agree with that. In our first book, White Coats, Courageous Hearts, the last chapter is Dr. Stephen Llewellyn, and it's titled "Sometimes a Person Needs a Story More Than Food." And
Ah,
it's so true. And that's what I feel like why this is a series is there's so many more stories to tell. And I always keep that in mind. I keep it front and center. Tell me a story. I
yeah,
don't know if
good.
that's
Yeah.
showing up backwards, but
Love it.
Yes. No.
I fully agree. So Kim, what would your kind of some final thoughts that you have about how can we move this forward?
I say just keep talking and be your best self. Be your best self. And I know, and I always use the metaphor suitcase. I feel like there's so much that we pack in a suitcase, all the trauma, all of everything that we deal with in a day, the exhaustion, the betrayal, the dismissal, all of that, and the short staffing, the ratios, all of that. We put all that in a suitcase, we take it back home with us, get another suitcase and bring it back to work with us or bring it wherever we're going, and we just move suitcases around. Wouldn't it be nice if we could not have to carry the suitcases around? And I'm working with Legal Med 180, and we're doing this campaign, Walk Them Home, and Telewellness Hub as well. So it's helping frontline workers, veterans, physicians, everybody, broad spectrum, globally, to have a safe place to come. It's peer-to-peer support, human to human, and just giving people some place to lay it down. Because a lot of times people just don't have anywhere to lay it. What do you do with it? You just continue to carry it around unless you dump it, or talk to somebody or get, like you said, join some groups or something like that. Just carry it around endlessly. So my hope is that working with them and telling the stories, and I love storytelling, and if you read any of my posts, I always tell a
Mhm.
story. And I feel that so much more comes in telling a story. I mean, you can
Mhm.
sit and talk numbers and metrics and all that all you want, but do people really pay attention to it? It's just kind of jargon, sometimes.
Mhm.
So if I can bring it to the table to where it's a true story and you're like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
that happened to me, or I know exactly what she's talking about. Oh my God, somebody finally said it out loud, those kind of things. So I'm so humbled when people say that to me or they comment and, oh my goodness, I love this. Thank you for saying it. And it's like, somebody had to say it. I'm not scared.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I'm thinking of that being the theme for the physician retreat, tell me a story. And over
Yeah.
the weekend, people sharing their stories. Well, thank you so much. And
Mhm.
Sue, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. My last name is Robbins like the bird. Both my books are named after birds. I've got a bit of a bird thing. So Robins. I'm on. I try to post every day on LinkedIn about patient experience or patient engagement, and I also have a website that's suerobbins.com. And I'm on Instagram too. If anyone wants to look for me on Instagram, I post more personal, kind of more. Like I said, healthcare can be quite heavy, so I try to post more fun types of things on Instagram.
That's terrific. And Kim, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
They can email me. It's Kimberly Maurer 731 at gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I do have some TikTok, but primarily my biggest platform is here on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn in the DMs and the posts. Just follow along. Send me a DM. I'm always open to conversation, always. So, and again, hopefully someday I'll have a website or something fun like that. But I'm just thinking, oh my God, with all the social media stuff, that's just one more thing to monitor.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
true.
hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks again. I can't wait to share this conversation.
It's awesome. It was awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you
Kim. Thank
guys.
you for inviting us. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
absolutely.
you're welcome. And in closing, to move the needle in healthcare, we all need to raise our voices and we all need to care about each other. We already know that doctors need to care about patients, patients need to care about doctors too. So stand up, doctors, and let's stand up for doctors.